Today I'm using the Sweet Blooms Stamp and Die set. It's from the annual catalog. First, you need a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5 inches, scored at 4 1/4. Then you need a piece of pattern paper, designer series paper, that is 5.5 by 4 1/4, and I scored it at the 1 inch mark on the right hand side, so 1 inch away from the right hand edge. Fold it back. It's a great way to be able to use your pattern paper and see both sides of the pattern paper. Now I'm going to use my die cutting machine with the layers 1 and 2, and then my cutting plates. I put my messy cutting plate down, the one I cut on, and the smoother one on top. Cardstock, die, smoother cutting plate, run it through the machine. Now I am going to grab my Take-A-Pick tool. I'm going to use the little pokey end. And all of the dies have little holes in the back that are release holes or ejection holes, and you can push through with your Take-A-Pick tool, and it helps to release the paper, the cardstock, from the die. Now I'm doing the same with white cardstock so that I can get the shadow of the word lovely, which I had done in Petunia Pop. Again, I'm going to poke out all those pieces with my Take-A-Pick tool to help release the cardstock from the die plate. Now I'm going to take the white shadow piece and the Petunia Pop accent word of lovely, and I'm going to layer them with a little bit of glue so that the word lovely is outlined all around by the larger white piece. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit so you can see how I did it. I like to use a fine tip glue. Next, I'm going to get an ink pad in Garden Green, and I'm going to ink up my sentiment. I'm going to ink up the word hello. I'm going to be careful not to push it down onto the ink pad. The ink pads are very juicy and you don't want to get too much ink on there. So just lightly tap, do not push down. And then I'm stamping it on this strip of white paper. Now I'm going to glue the designer series paper or the pattern paper onto my card base. I'm going to glue it down maybe 1/4 inch from the left-hand side. I'm really just eyeballing it. And then that piece that I scored that I'm folding back, I'm going to put some glue on that, fold it back, and glue that down. So now you can see the card base on both the left and the right-hand side of the designer series paper, and you get to see both of the pretty sides of the paper, which I love. Then I'm going to add the die cut and layered word lovely onto the top. I like to work on a silicone mat because the glue doesn't stick to that. It's easy to clean, and Stampin' Up! Does have a nice small square one, although this is my larger one that I'm using for this. Placing that down, adding a little pressure for it to stay. And then my hello, I'm going to glue on to the top. I decided the strip of paper for the hello was a little too long, so I just took my paper snips and trimmed it down to the desired size, added a little glue to the back, and stuck it just above the word lovely. Then on the inside, I took a piece of white cardstock that was 4 1/8 by 5 1/4. I believe. I had just a strip of the designer series paper. It's approximately 1 inch by 4 1/4. I want the width to be the same as the white paper, but I'm not too particular about how high it was. And I glued that to the bottom just to add a little interest to the inside. And then I adhered the white piece of cardstock to the inside to give you a nice white place for a sentiment. Or you can stamp a sentiment, but it's a great place to write your greeting. And there it is. This was a card in the annual catalog that I copied. I made several cards using this design from the May 2025, April 2026 current annual catalog. Here's the one I showed you using Timid Tiger. They show it in several others as well. We use the Florals in Bloom designer series paper, which is part of the suite if you get the whole suite. And here are some other colors I made. This is the Timid Tiger card base. This is the Shy Shamrock card base. This is the Petunia Pop card base. This is the Shy Shamrock card base. And the Darling Duckling card base. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed.